Welcome back to the Start and Scale podcast. I'm your host, Jack Brandwood, and in this series, we're diving headfirst into the world of tech with the people who are coding the future from the front lines. This is the place where we refactor the way you think about scaling tech teams, debugging their journeys, reviewing their stories, and pushing boundaries to ship better insights. Whether you're a seasoned techie who's seen your fair share of legacy code, an aspiring professional ready to deploy your skills, or just fascinated by the world of technology, this episode will give you unique insights and practical takeaways to add to your backlog.
It's not going to replace any senior engineers or anyone soon.
So grab your headphones, commit to this listen, and let's sprint into another episode. I hope you enjoy the conversation.
Ross, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to finally meet you in person.
Yeah.
It's always weird when you meet someone for the first time on a podcast. It's quite a formal...
Yeah, it's intense way of doing
it. Yeah. You know what, instead of doing normally, so let's just do a podcast for the first time. But yeah, thank you for coming down. Really excited to have this conversation with you. I always like to start these things with a very deep question.
Okay.
Who is Ross Tyler?
Who is Ross Tyler? That's a great question. Right now, Ross Tyler is CTO of Ewensure. So I've worked there for 6 years. I built the tech team up from just me and one other guy into a team of about 30 people. And we've been replatforming the legacy tech stack ever since, and embarking on bigger and bolder projects as the time's gone on. So yeah, that's what I do for work. Do you want to get deep and meaningful about outside of work?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah. Like going to the gym, playing guitar, bit of running every now and again, just keeping active, and lots of reading and just learning whatever I can. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Nice, love that. Great. Yeah, well, I know the guitar thing because saw in the background of your team meetings, of course. Into your running, have you any marathons on the horizon, or just
no? It's running's more just like it's a kind of a chore that I love. Like, so I'll just stick to 5Ks, but it like keeps me fit, right? Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. A chore that you love.
Yeah.
Oh, very poetic. Well, I kind of pre-warned you slightly just before we started that I was going to ask you to draw something.
Yeah.
You weren't always the Ross Tyler who we know now.
No.
Could you draw for me what you wanted to be when you grew up? The reason we do this, our vision at Tax is to create a world where everyone gets their dream job.
All right.
So yeah, that's the meaning behind it. And if you could walk us through it as you're drawing.
All right. So I used to want to be a pilot when I was very young. So now I've got to try and remember what a plane actually looks like.
So you're the first person I've seen bring up a picture to copy. I like that.
Yeah, well, is that cheating?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I've gone for a bit of a cartoony plane, which I like.
Nice.
Yep. And put the engine on. So I wanted to be a pilot. But when I was quite young, I found out I was colorblind. And you can't, I don't think you're allowed to be a pilot unless you've got like 20/20 vision. And not colorblind because you can't see the ground lights.
Oh.
Like I can't distinguish between like certain shades of red and green. So yeah, that's it. That's not what you want in your pilot, basically.
Is right? So I was going to ask you more about being because I don't really understand the concept of being colorblind. It's
no one does.
No. So yeah, because certain colors would look different to you than to me.
Like I literally just can't distinguish them. That's all. So
wow.
Like certain greens will look kind of red to me, and certain reds will look kind of green to me. And like traffic lights are fine, but
he's got loads of tickets.
It's just certain shades. But if you ever went in the cockpit of a plane when you were a kid, which I did, and you look out and it's dark and there's all these different color lights, I couldn't even see the runway lights or anything like that. So
whoa.
Yeah. So that was that's me flying.
That's brilliant.
It's a very weird looking plane, even with the picture.
But you know what? It's very easy to tell that. So obviously that dream didn't happen.
It didn't
in the end.
Yeah.
Why did you go? Why tech then? Why did you go tech?
Well, I think I just loved all the lights and the buttons in the cockpit. I always wanted to know how stuff worked.
Mm-hmm.
And that is at my age, like computers were just coming in, like home computers, the Amiga 500, stuff like that. Just loved playing with it and figuring it out. And then over time I learned, well, I can make it do what I want. And it just built from there. So I taught myself programming at a young age and then went to uni. And yeah, it was something I was good at and enjoyed. So it made sense, like do something you love, right? And,
yeah.
Yeah. here I am.
It's what they always say. Isn't it? It's one of those lessons when as you get older, you go, God, when everyone told me to find out something that I love doing and get paid for it, I should have really listened to to that, because that's really important as you get older.
Exactly.
And then no, don't worry about the money, because that will come if you're passionate about something.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Wow. Just out of interest, and this is just because I'm intrigued. If you were to learn coding for yourself right now from scratch, what would you do?
Firstly, I'd find some courses. Like I wouldn't necessarily do a boot camp, but I would find some online courses that, like Udemy or Pluralsight that would have like a structured approach to it. I think these days there's so much good material on YouTube as well. People who really explain things quite in depth. And then obviously we've got LLMs now. So, I think and this is where people need to be cautious. Like you can't just trust whatever it spits out, and you still need to practice critical thinking on whatever you're doing. And there's a lot of lots of ways to skin a cat, right? Like you can write code that works, but it takes time to learn, well, what makes good code. So still reading like classic literature, if you want to call it that, like Clean Code by Bob Martin or anything like that. Just read and absorb as much as I could about whatever language it is, and practice. That's the main thing, right? It's not just all theory. Build something, like just do whatever you want, like make a little app, make a little website, just actually practice it in the language. And you pretty much guarantee to get something out of it, right?
That's really good. Yeah, you know what? I was asking a friend of mine about, just thinking more and more about how you should probably, if you're interested in something, no matter what it is, you should just dig down deep into it. And even if everyone's always thinking about the end goal, but we shouldn't really, right?
No.
And he was like, oh, well, for example, for coding, he was like, you should just have an end goal of building something, and then that's the goal. Yeah,
like it's as much the journey, right? Like it helps to have the goal, but you have to love the journey as well. Because I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. I'm still learning stuff now. Like I was still reading stuff this weekend just gone, because you've got to keep up to date. But you can't just expect to, well, I'll do that goal and then I've nailed it and I've mastered it. You'll never master it. You just have to love learning and keep doing it.
Well, you'll never master it. Yeah, I think like software engineer is just like having consistent homework. Yeah. Do you like homework? Become a software engineer.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So to dig down, I guess, into what you're doing now. I mean, you came into Uninsure. They said, right, just you and another guy, and then they said, build it.
Pretty much.
What was that process from start to where you are now? Could you walk us through it?
Yeah. So at the time, all the tech, it was about 10 years old, if not slightly older, but it did the job. It worked. It's very successful for the business, obviously. But it was outsourced. It was just like a fairly small company, and it didn't really. They wanted to do more with it than they could, basically, and ultimately they wanted to sell the company. So not owning your own tech sort of it really directly affects the valuation. So by building their own tech team, modernizing the platform basically increased the valuation of the business, right? So we started off, the plan was to rebuild the legacy API in a modern framework. So it was all like, I think it was .NET 4.5, so not terribly old, but still not modern. Rebuild the API, rebuild the front ends, bring it all into Azure, make it modern and scalable, basically. So put it in the cloud, because it was just in rack space on like fairly chunky server, but still just one server. Whereas, you basically have to be in the cloud. You have to own it. You have to be able to make changes to it yourself. So yeah, that's where we started. That was the plan. So, and this is what I learned about Uninsure. We start with the plan, and then we do something else completely for a while, and then come back to that. So initially, we did move everything into Azure after about a year and a half, I should say. But we spent the first year just rebuilding all the front ends. So taking what was like an old .NET Web Forms app, rewriting it in a React TypeScript app, and getting that nice and solid, I'd say. And that's been there since. We haven't done a whole lot to that. That was very successful. Like it just brought the platform up to date. Then we moved everything into Azure. So that was a big lift and shift of the old database and the old APIs, put those in Azure. And at this point, we'd only hired maybe a couple extra devs, a tester, and we had the product owner in place as well. So that's like that's the kernel of the tech team, really. From then on, we wanted to build our own contact center. So we just left the API where it was. We didn't start rewriting it. Instead, we decided to bring it like more or less in-house our contact center. So we were using a product called Genius Dialer, but it wasn't really meeting our needs. Spoke with Twilio, if you've heard of those.
Yeah.
So we ended up using Twilio Flex, spent a year building a contact center for the internal teams, which, took a bit longer than expected, but it was a really nice, tight integration into like our data and our APIs and, giving the call center agents like the actual information they need about people that are calling us. So we had to actually build the second team to support that. So that like pretty much doubled the size of the tech team in the second year. Then we finally got back to that plan of rewriting the API. And we realized, well, we've got the front end guys, we've got the contact center guys, and to build this other API, we need a whole new team. So in comes the third team, similar sort of size, like senior engineers, principal engineers, product owner, team lead. And they recently, late last year, they finished the first main product in that API. So that we only have two products really, the household insurance and buy-to-let insurance. They finished the household insurance, just finishing off buy-to-let now. And they've also been integrating with pricing optimization engine. So last year we had like a pricing function in the company. So that's all just people who worry about, how to price stuff. And don't ask me about it. Like we take data, we give it to them, a number comes out and everyone's happy. And as long as they're happy, then I'm happy. We're about to go live with that in March. And the fourth team that we added late last year is the biggest team. So probably maybe 4 or 5 developers in that, plus the team lead and principal engineer and so on. They are building out our new policy administration system. So right now, we pay another company to do the policy admin for us. We just want to save cost there, do it ourselves, and bring it in-house. So that's a huge milestone for us, because that means we've gone from being completely outsourced to owning our complete journey from pricing, optimizing the pricing, and managing the policy as well. So it's taken 6 years, but it's quite a journey.
So it makes sense bringing things in-house from a valuation perspective. If it makes the company worth more in the end, then that makes sense. If that's the end goal, is to sell it, of course.
Yeah.
But does that ever become, if you're trying to in-house everything, there is a risk that it could become a burden as well, right?
Yeah. So if it's not IP, we're not interested. So like we worked with Twilio, so that's not our IP. So we don't really own the contact center, but we own the integration, if that makes sense. But it doesn't necessarily make the business more valuable, I'd say. Something like the policy admin system, that's like tailor-made to us. That is our IP. That should, that capability, I should say, does make us more valuable, or at least it de-risks us, from being dependent on a third party. If there is something like pricing optimization, that would take years of effort to build that ourselves. We actually use a third-party product, but we're hosting it. So we're still kind of in control. We build the integration, but it's more or less an off-the-shelf component. So as long as if it's our IP, then great. But if it's not, it's just a module we need to plug in, but we can kind of still control it. That's fine. Yeah.
So I guess in the background, there's a lot of decision making that's made to say like, okay, we could bring this in-house, but is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah, exactly. That's the exact phrase. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I never knew that. And obviously now it does make sense that if you were to bring things in-house, it would make the business more valuable, especially if it's IP. And
yeah, it really translates to, are you making money or are you saving money by doing it? So in the case of the policy administration system, we'll be saving money, and that affects bottom line basically, and that affects your valuation. So you make money by saving money. You make the business more money by just saving money. Yeah.
Huh. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, and it comes down to, because someone said to me recently, they were like, everyone is always trying to add things onto things to make so like, but whereas sometimes you could think, well, what can you take away rather than adding?
Yeah, what can you take away? What can you do more efficiently, or what are you paying for now that you don't need to pay for? Like what can you do yourself better?
What? So, and you mentioned there how teams were kind of, as you went along, would just spin up and you go, oh God, we need this new team, we need this other team.
Yeah.
Is that how that usually goes? Like, is it just accidentally?
I wouldn't say it was accidental, but it is roughly how it goes. Like we have a plan, we look at capacity and we realize, well, can we do it with the capacity we have, or do we need another team? And we do try to we tried to spin them up quickly. I probably made it sound easier than it really was, but it actually took a long time to get the third team in place because it was such a critical project. So like literally, the pricing API generates all of our revenue.
Wow.
We want it to be done well, and this is another thing. Like we can't be building systems that are immediately crippled with tech debt because again, later on that affects your valuation, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to be doing things that are engineered well. You want a good team to do it, and it takes time to find good people. And so it took us a good 6 to 9 months to spin up the team. I think we did the more recent team, the fourth squad, a bit differently. We actually went to a nearshore company, a company called Netcompany, who provided some resource to us, like on a fairly short-term basis, really, whilst we span up the full-time team. So like we kind of hit the ground running with as much resource as we could, and then sort of phased them out, basically. So a bit of a different approach.
Great idea. Yeah, that makes complete sense. And you mentioned technical debt there. In your opinion, what's the best way to deal with tech debt?
The business has to buy into it, and I think thankfully we do, right? So it's understood that the team should be spending at least 20% of their time on managing their tech debt, right? And that is a known thing. Now, when push comes to shove, that's not always possible. Like we've got strategic objectives we need to hit, or hard deadlines related to insurers, whatever it is. Sometimes we just need to get work done. And unfortunately, tech debt does occasionally take a back seat, but there is generally an understanding that the teams should be managing their own tech debt backlog. They should be prioritizing it, and they should be looking for opportunities to make things go smoother. And we do see that, especially in the back end teams around the quote and pricing API, where they'll identify, like, if we do this tech debt now, that will make this delivery come in like 3 weeks earlier. And they like self-originate that. It's great. You just watch them do it. It's amazing. But as long as you give them the freedom to do it, then they should be doing it, right? Yeah.
Wow.
So you can't force them, but they should want to do it because it makes their lives easy. It makes them more effective, right? So.
Yes. Yeah. Of course. And I guess if you're hiring the right people, then they'll be aware of that.
Yeah.
They're grown up and they get it. Like, yeah, I get it. I need to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like eating your vegetables. Like, you got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is there an element of, in some businesses, I can assume, dealing with tech debt also from like a business perspective and dealing with stakeholders who perhaps aren't technical, trying to have that conversation could be quite tough, right?
It can be. I think in Unity we're very lucky. There's a lot of technically minded people. Like Martin is, the MD is very sympathetic to the tech team, I think. He appreciates the way we do things and understands the reason. I think we're in a good position where we're not just chasing features either, because we're a fairly established business and we have established products and they work. So we're not constantly tweaking and optimizing them. It's more about building new capabilities, right? So like the policy administration system or pricing optimization. And we know to do those big projects, you have to manage your tech debt, right? You can't build on unstable foundations. Yeah. So it's not as challenging as you might think.
Well, you're so lucky to have that, I think, because you get some people like they'll ask the CTO to fix something, but then the CTO's like, that will cost millions of pounds, and will provide no benefit at all. But I know that's a big bugbear for a lot of CTOs.
Yeah, it can be. But like I say, we are lucky, and I think that's more a testament to how we've built things over the last 6 years and the kind of relationships that we have internally. Like we want to do the right thing. One of our values is we are one team, right? And it's like we're always just working out what's the best way to do things. And there's no politics. People might come and say this quite often, but there genuinely isn't. Like if there's a problem, we have a rational discussion about it and they understand the reasons behind it. And I just try to make it as clear as I can. Like one of the privileges of my job is I just get to be honest. Like we can't do this or we can't, or it's going to take this long, or we need more resource. Like it's not as bad as it sounds, really.
And how, because weirdly enough, I met you when you first started. Well, actually, just before you started for a coffee, and then we didn't speak for ages. And obviously now we're speaking again. But not that that's not really fell out. No, we just didn't cross paths. But you were very new to this sort of role, weren't you, when you went in? How did you find that journey?
Incredibly challenging, but that's why I took the job. Because at the time I had 2 job offers on the table, and one was to be an architect and just like stay with the tech, and there was this Unsure role which sounded crazy, like come and be a tech lead and rebuild our platform and make the business more valuable, right? I was like, that sounds insanely challenging. I must be slightly crazy to want to do this. But yeah, I was crazy enough to take it. And it has been a journey. Like it's literally, so I spent probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years, just as tech lead, like delivering some of the stuff I mentioned earlier, building out the first couple of squads. Once we got to that size, moving to head of engineering, thinking more about the overall architecture and standards and practices across the teams. And then finally, just late last year, made it to CTO, and that was, the most challenging part. Like getting to that point, had to develop a reasonably thick skin, I'd say. I think this is good. Like you have to be able to take feedback, right? And I love getting feedback, and I've been very fortunate to work with people who will give me honest feedback and point out where I could do better, basically. And it's only through that and being able to reflect on that and see what I'm doing wrong that I've been able to move into that position. But it's been incredibly tough and quite a journey.
Yeah, I love that. And that working with people, I mean, you mentioned that one of the values is we are one team. And there's this thing that a lot of businesses do where they'll say, come and join our family.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you shouldn't be. And I know this has been done to death now, but I just think you want to be surrounded by people who want you to strive for more. And I would say your family, for the most part, like your mum is nice. Like she'll say you're the best person in the world.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily the kind thing to do.
No. So that's from radical candor, right? Ruinous empathy.
Yeah.
You're empathetic to people, but you don't give them the hard feedback because you don't want to upset them. That's like family life, right? I know. I think being one team just nails it, right? Because we're all there for a purpose. We all want to not just achieve like the business goals, but for me, this is like a personal thing. Like I want to learn the most I can and be the best I can in my role as well. And it's just that kind of environment where you're getting that feedback, but also getting the opportunity to actually grow. That's why I've been there 6 years, right? Like, could have easily fallen off or failed, but still here.
Amazing. Yeah. And again, you're new into that role. And I think a lot of people in leadership positions now, have been given that leadership responsibility without having any experience previously. But I mean, you're slightly different in the fact that you had to also build whilst. Yeah.
So I had, prior to this role, I was dev manager. So I did have lead experience across multiple teams, which did help.
Got you.
So I wasn't totally fresh to it. I'd been team leads elsewhere. But this really was the first time where I was building the team from scratch. And one of the things that did keep me up at night was recruitment, frankly. like who are we hiring? Have I made the right choice? That kind of thing. Because when the team's so small, you can start off with a great culture. You can kind of handpick people that fit, and I more or less did. But then every time you add someone new into the mix, you can't dictate what the culture is. They bring something with them, right? And you just hope they kind of fit and they gel. And fortunately, it has worked. But leadership's as much about finding people that just think in the same way that you do. So you're not trying to twist their arm into the way that you think it should be done, or probably sound like like a rule with an iron fist or something there, but not really. But you just want people who, like me, want to do a good job, want to learn, and basically give a shit about their job, right?
Yeah.
And it makes leadership so much easier when you have people like that, because it's like, well, here's the direction, here's what we need to achieve. Let's go about it. It's like, how do you want to do it? And it's not just me being like, you have to do this way. So,
well, but I guess if you're starting a team from scratch, you do need to have some sort of vision. I know, I don't get me wrong, I'm aware it's very valuable to get people's feedback, but I think if you got 4 or 5 different people with all different ways of working, they probably wouldn't work. You need one person to be like, right, this is how we're going to give it a go, working this way. Then I get some people along with me to work the same way, and then
really difficult. And we've been lucky, and this is where if you can hire someone who then recommends a friend and they've worked together before, and they can come in and they've worked together. Like we had like a little ready-made team in some cases already, and they just sort of landed and got running, which was great. But say in the most recent team, there's none of that. It's just finding, again, good leaders who, because now it's not me leading the team. I need to find a good leader who's going to get the team together and interview the right people and get them to gel as well. It is difficult. But for me, it just comes down to culture again. Like, if you find the right people who give a shit, but you're right, I see what you're saying about vision. Like, you have to say, this is roughly the direction we're going in. It's like the vision is what do we want to achieve and how do we want to do it? But the team have to come up with, actually how they do it, right? And what they're actually doing. So put it in their hands and sort of step out the way is generally the best approach I find.
I think the higher what I hear is the higher up the food chain you become, the higher you get promoted, you know, internally, the less important you actually become, and you're more like, you know, almost like you, not that you don't do anything, you're kind of just like orchestrating and empowering people to do.
Trying,
trying, but those, and I guess trying to, especially in the early days, trying to find those softer skills that you mentioned there, like leadership and actually give a shit. You know, how do you pull that out? Because technical skills really is quite easy to test for, right? You know, for the most part. But then soft skills are the tough bit.
They are, and that's the power of just having a one-on-one conversation with someone and just seeing where the conversation goes, I think, and just you know, throwing out some little conversations like, what do you think about this, or tell me about solid principles, or tell me something you really enjoyed doing, or what gets you out of bed in the morning about this job. And you can tell quite quickly if someone's just 9 to 5, you're paying me, or their eyes light up and they're like, I love this, I love reading, and it just comes across. And you have to trust your gut. I've been doing recruitment for a long time now, and always trust your gut. That's it. It's just a human thing, right? You can just tell. And yeah, if you're vibing with someone, great, and give them a chance, put them through the rest of the process. But if it's not working, then, you know, it doesn't matter how great technically they are. If they don't work with you, they're probably not going to work with the team. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to hear you say that, like, that just you know, trust your gut, because some people would be dead against that. They'd be like, no, we have a scorecard, and this is, if they don't hit this, then they're out.
Yeah, well, and this is why I think it's important, right? Because we're all humans, we've got to work together. The rest is important. Like, we don't have scorecards or anything, but we go through a fairly objective process. People get asked the same questions later on, and there's a test and so on. So you do get to kind of objectively evaluate someone after this, but this is just a screening call, right? Like, do I think you could work with the team? Do I think I could work with you? Can you work with me? Vice versa. Do you want to work here? Like, what do you want to do in the next 5 years? Like, these kind of questions, like, tell you a lot about people. And yeah, you've got to have that question. And if you can't trust your gut, like, can you trust, well, you got to trust yourself, right? Like, it's on me at the end of the day. So, you know, I wouldn't necessarily try to rationalize it. It's just a screening call. Just works or it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, and on that, have you ever made a bad hire? And what went wrong and why?
I have, yeah. And I would caveat and say this, it's not a reflection on them. Like, just because they're a bad hire, that just means maybe I didn't trust my gut. And that this is why I'm saying this, actually. I actually kind of went against my gut instinct and thought, I'll give them a chance. All right. Yeah. Because on the surface, and, you know, you look at the CV, the skills are there. They do pretty well in the tech bit, but just in the back of your mind, there's something saying this isn't quite right. And this was something this is a part of the feedback I had. I'm not sure if everyone would agree, but I give people too many chances, I think. So, you know, you get them in and, some of that negative gut feelings kind of coming out, and you see them struggling a bit more than you would hope, and you give them another chance and you give them some feedback, but they don't really change, or they get overwhelmed and it's just not working. So, but you give them a chance and you extend probation, and then you're like 9 months into it, and it's like, oh, this was a bad decision, and eventually it ends as you might expect. Either they leave, or you have to sort of say, sorry, this isn't working. And yeah, I genuinely believe it's not a reflection on the individual. It's just I feel really bad about it because I failed to screen them properly, or I didn't trust my gut. I could tell they weren't going to fit, and I kind of let it go on too long. And that's been probably one of the most valuable lessons in recruitment. And that's why the first thing I said is just trust your gut. Right? Yeah,
and that comes down to that in Kim Scott's book, Radical Candor. At the beginning, she tells that story, doesn't she? Of, I can't remember the person's name, but about the guy's not working out.
Yeah,
she lets it go on way too long. They go for a coffee, I think, or and she really feels really bad about it. And she says, "Look, you're not working out, your work's not good enough." And the guy goes, "Why didn't you just tell me sooner?"
Yeah.
You know, and then I had to get to this point. Why didn't you just tell me that sooner? Because that's a mind frame shift, right? You know, a lot of people can say, "Oh, you know, I made this wrong hire. It's their fault. They wasted my time." It's like, well, no, I've also wasted their time a little bit here.
Exactly,
you know?
It works both ways. Yeah.
Yeah, they could have been doing something that was more fulfilling and more well suited.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's their life, right? And I think about the team as well. Like if someone's in the team and they're not contributing the way we want, it's not just that individual who is struggling. It actually being that the rest of the team starts to struggle as well. And that's why we got to address it as soon as you can. Right. So that's definitely what I've learned.
Do you and as you've gotten bigger, I assume you're actually probably not the only person who's involved in hiring, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you find more heads better than one?
Yes. So I try to step out as much as I can now. So I still do the screening calls.
Cool.
I will support an interview if needed, but I'm much happier if say if it's a senior dev, I want the team lead and the principal engineer who are going to work with them to actually do the interview and make sure they're happy with them. Because we're so big now, we're hiring people, and I'm seeing them at company days. I'm like, who's that? Like I've never met these people. It's like that's true. So I want them to be happy with who they're hiring. It matters less about what I feel about it at this point. As long as they've got the skills and the team's happy, then it's on them ultimately, right? But I'll be there to sort of say, is this really working? And give them the help they need.
Do you ever take time to reflect on that and guess what you've done over the past few years? Because a lot of people come on this podcast and they talk about it and they don't realize that it's actually quite a nice reflection exercise.
Yeah.
Do you ever reflect?
I do try, yeah. Quite often. It's a really difficult exercise because I get told this as well. Like I don't think I understand fully the impact the tech team has on the company, or the disruptive nature of YouInsure within the insurance industry as well.
Right.
Because I'd never worked in the insurance industry before, so I just kind of came in. Oh, this is just how it's done, right? This is just how it is. But no, this is just how YouInsure is. So we're quick, agile, crazily ambitious, quite different to your standard sort of insurance tech company. So I don't think I'll ever truly understand, but I do reflect on it. I reflect on the journey and mostly the mistakes. And probably that's one of my weaknesses. I never reflect on the successes. I need to get much better at that, right? Like we've achieved so much. And I'm genuinely working on that because in my position right now, I want to be able to, or I need to be able to go to the teams and say, actually did a really great job. Keep it up, right? Whereas it's so easy for me to just be like, right, it's done and move on to the next thing.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I'm reflecting on recently anyway.
I've never heard someone phrase it like that because of course, people who have achieved quite a lot tend to be quite very self-critical. I mean, that just goes with the territory.
Yeah.
But I've never heard anyone phrase it in the fact that is because then it will make them a better leader because they need to also identify other people's successes and a reward and
yeah. It is important, right? And because it would be insincere if I didn't really think it was successful. So I have to feel that success. Like that was actually really good. And then I can understand how they're going to feel about it. Say, look, and this was generally, I mean it when I say it, that this was great. Like, good job. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And just on that, again, thinking out loud, I never thought of it really, but leadership it's almost like, and through the process of becoming a leader, you almost have to deal with a lot of your own issues as well at the same time.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, because then it's reflected on, when you have kids, you have to sort yourself out first because otherwise you're going to have all your issues.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So yeah, whether it's self-esteem or your ego, you got to keep yourself in check, or insecurities, learning how to be vulnerable in front of large groups of people. There's a lot on you as who you are as a person. It's not just about the tech. Like you trying to be more open and make people feel comfortable expressing themselves around you as well, because you want them to be honest about their problems. And I'm not saying I nail this all the time, but that's what you want, right? You want people, like radical candor, I think should work both ways. Like I like getting feedback when I'm doing my one-to-ones. I like it when they tell me something that I'm doing wrong, right? Because that's something I need to address. And it's great to have that feedback from your direct reports, not just from someone higher up than you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, love that. Okay, interesting. Earlier on you mentioned, before we move on, but past this bit, you mentioned there that you worked with nearshore devs.
Yeah.
And did you work with offshore as well?
Not fully, no.
No.
So that was an option, but we worked out a deal basically where we got some UK resource at a near offshore rate somehow. So they were based in UK, I think. And yeah, worked reasonably well. The offshore guys, we did try actually, for whatever reason, they couldn't get connected to our systems, and it became to the point where it's like, well, look, you can just have this UK resource at the same price and don't worry about it. So yeah, we got quite lucky, I guess. And I suppose the lessons that I learned from this, I found the devs to be very effective, actually. And we still, to this day, some of the devs are still there. We get great feedback about them, right? So if you get the right people and they want to work in the same way, or it's just a cultural thing, it can work well. I think the mistake we did make was we also went to them for a product owner, which, was kind of counseled against, but came down to it, we didn't have any other choice. We couldn't get a full-time product owner in, and it seemed like anyone that was going to come in, they would have to learn so much in such a short time. And we tried a product owner from the nearshore company. Didn't work out. We tried another one, and they improved the situation, I'd say. But it felt like you're pouring knowledge into someone who is just going to leave at the end of the day. And I'm pleased to say now we have a product owner and a business analyst who are absolutely nailing the project. And it makes such a difference. But yeah, nearshore, it was a different experience, and it definitely helped us get going. Yeah, really a different experience than I thought, though. Like, because probably sound naive, but they do sell you a dream. It's like, we'll give you resource, it'll be great. We'll work exactly how you want. Yeah, it's never quite exactly like that. There's always teething pains, and I think, again, reflecting on it like a leadership thing, there's always this concept of a new team, like the forming.
Storming,
performing, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I always get mixed up.
Yeah, and you kind of hope, because it feels like they're already a team, right? So you kind of naively assume, well, they'll know, or they've worked together, and maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But I think you still need to give that initial quite clear direction, like be almost a little bit command and control, just like do this like this and try it. And then if it's not working, then once you as a team have gelled a bit more, then you can figure out how you really want to do it. I think that's something I've reflected on there as well.
Yeah, and it's the same issues I hear from a lot of people is that you expect them to gel in your team quicker than they tend to.
Yeah. And
then and there's a lot of friction, and I think a lot of over promising tends to be a part of an issue. But you found it better when you came nearshore.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like you must go to a lot of events and stuff like that. Have you found that a lot more people that you know now are offshoring or nearshoring people?
I've spoken with people who either have or are about to at some point. And it always seems like, well, either they had an in-house team and then they offshored it for whatever reason, or it's the opposite. We offshored it, we weren't happy, so we brought it in-house. It's like just one guy comes in, does that, and then the other guy comes in and does the opposite. And I think that you have to really reflect on the reasons, because if it just comes down to cost, like you're offshoring because it's cheaper. You have to think of for me, the long-term strategy. Like, are you going to be happy, frankly, if that code base is a little worse than it would have been if you'd paid more for it? Basically, you get what you pay for ultimately. And is that okay in the grand scheme of things? Like, you're not trying to sell the business, so as long as it works and does the job, and you're happy to maintain it to the slightly higher cost, then maybe that's a cost you're willing to pay. Or is it more about the quality, and you want it to be done well and maintainable? And maybe that's when you should be hiring talent to look after that for the foreseeable future, right? Like, people who give a shit.
Yeah. Yes, you need to get your priorities straight first.
Yeah.
Are you getting into your coding still?
I still keep my hands on, just so people can't lie to me about stuff. Yeah.
That must be a big thing for people in your position as they become more and more hands off.
Yeah.
Two things: they must think, like you said, so they can make sure they're not getting lied to about things. Secondly, there must be a fear in the back of your mind that you don't want to get too complacent.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a tiny bit of fear, but mostly just that sense of curiosity that's always driven me. Like,
that's good.
There's always new stuff. Like right now in my own time, I spend a lot of time learning about LLMs and AI and how to work with those, right? And that's just so I don't feel like I'm getting left behind. So when someone asks me my opinion, I can have one, right?
Yeah.
And even just day to day, like, do I still know C#? Like, yeah, that's a skill. There's always new features coming out in C#. So I'm curious about these. Like, it's just that sense of curiosity. Like, what's because I might know, like when I was still a hands-on dev like 5 years ago, I might know what was good then, but things change, and I don't want to be saying to the team, "Oh, you need to do it this way," because they'll be like, "Oh, what are you talking about? That's like ancient history now."
Yeah, like listening to a podcast and you heard on a podcast, I forgot I'm going to drop by in the meeting this morning. That's interesting. It's such an interesting career because I don't feel like there's any other careers like it in that respect.
Perhaps not. I think we're lucky in a way because you determine your own level of involvement, right? Like it's not like a doctor, for example. They have to go to conferences and like be trained in things. But for us, you can make the choice. And like I think if you're not growing, if you're not curious, you're not learning, then by default you're stagnant, or you're reverting. You're getting left behind by default, basically, in this industry.
Sure.
Like there's no standing still. Basically, you have to learn new stuff. You have to keep on with it.
Isn't that great then? Because that naturally then you're higher performing technical people with people who are passionate about it because they don't have to. They're just doing it out of choice.
Out of choice, yeah. In some ways, being a developer is almost a lifestyle choice. Like, it's like, do you care about fitness? Do you care about hobbies and things? But it's almost like a lot of people started this as a hobby and they grew into it or transitioned into it just because they loved it. So, yeah.
You mentioned AI earlier and LLMs. Are you doing anything with it within your teams? Are you unsure?
Not yet.
Okay.
So the devs, we haven't mandated that anyone uses it, like for a Copilot or anything, but the option is there. We are actively looking at how to use it. Mostly it's just like Copilot in meetings, like summarizing meeting notes and stuff like that. But there's clearly huge opportunities within some of our platforms to use it. And I think we're only really starting to scratch the surface, like because we think about engineering, developers, and productivity in that sense, but actually think in terms of requirements gathering and refining tickets and making sure like the language is consistent or just that things make sense, so there's no gaps. Like they should be able to help there. So be surprised if there's not clearer or better Jira integrations or Confluence integrations that do these things, like write me this document, and it just does it. Yeah.
And this is again from my own interests. Obviously, agentic AI is on the rise and it's becoming more popular.
Yeah.
I think I understand what generative AI is. Basically, will generate images and pictures and content and whatever. Agentic AI, how would you explain it to someone?
So if you think of AI as just a little brain, or a big brain if you want, if it's Copilot, it's a brain and it can do general stuff, right? Agentic is where you give it a specific remit. So it's like you put the brain in a little box, and the little box says, well, you are going to write me my marketing emails, right? And you write a big long prompt and say, I want you to write marketing emails with this tone of voice and whatever. And you're my agent for this, okay? So I'm going to come to you and I'm going to ask you, write something like this, and you're going to do it. So you put that little brain in a box and you've given it a purpose. And you can do that, for any purpose. So it might be, well, you're my code review agent. So you're going to take this language, these pull requests, and you're going to review my pull requests for me. So that's all it is really, agentic, right? It's just giving a specific purpose to ideally an AI that is trained in that way. So if you want it to generate images, then it should be obviously a generative AI. If you want it to review copy, then it's more of an LLM, right? So yeah, that's all it is.
Whoa. It is wild, isn't it? I had a podcast with someone the other day who's really passionate about AI, and we had a really great conversation about it. And we were just talking, and like halfway through the conversation, I was like, "This is the first time in my life where I'm living through something that is like that I can tell before it's going to be massive." For example, I don't know, the .com boom, whatever, or when the internet first came out. I actually wasn't alive then because I'm quite young, but this is the first time I'm living through something. I'm going, oh my god, this is good. They're going to write books about this stuff. Well, they already are doing, but you know what I mean. Just think it's wild.
Yeah. Unfortunately, being slightly older, I've lived through the rise of the internet and social media and the iPhone and so on.
A question: did you know during the time? Did you know that it was going to be what it is?
No, and I genuinely didn't. Like, I think the internet as a concept, clearly, yeah. Like, because I went from dial up to broadband to like and it just got bigger and better as it went on. But things like the iPhone and social media, like, didn't click with me at all, and in some ways still don't. Like social media, it doesn't make sense to me. But I was never going to be that tech visionary, because I was like, who would want this? Like, who would want Twitter? But a lot of people do. So it was hard for me to see if it would be really big. But I think with AI, it's gone from, it's always had trends, like, and for a long time it was just like fuzzy matching systems, and people would code rules engines to call it AI. But now it's actually generative, right? Like you put stuff in and stuff comes out, and you're not specifically training it on your specific problems. We're not quite there for AGI yet, and I think we're probably a longer way off than people maybe think.
For what, sorry?
Artificial general intelligence.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is, sorry,
that's like in the
iRobot
movies.
stuff.
Yeah, iRobot stuff.
Whoa,
yeah, okay. So I think we're a long way off there. Like something that almost has its own consciousness, basically, and defines its own purpose. Like, and it's just kind of there thinking its own thoughts and being proactive almost. So that's more like Skynet, to be honest.
Whoa.
I don't see us getting there soon. I think it's more about, right now it's going to be LLMs becoming more efficient to run, and just more accurate, and being able to solve more complicated problems, and basically holding more in their mind. Because right now I don't know if you've seen this, but they can take so much context in, but it's hard to get them to think deeply, I find, because they're not really thinking. It's just random stuff coming out. It just happens to make sense. But yeah, we've got a way to go.
How do you think it will affect software engineers' job?
I see it as a productivity tool. Like, I don't see it replacing people anytime soon. It's a great sounding board for ideas. Like, I'm thinking of doing this, I'm solving this problem this way. What do you think? Yeah, it'll either tell you that's great, or have you considered an alternative that you might not have considered? And yeah, I think as long as you're in the driving seat, like, you have to be accountable for the code that's coming out, right? You can't hold an LLM accountable for your work ultimately. Well, I'm sure some people would like to try. But yeah, mostly as productivity, spotting issues in code, security issues. Just, it's not going to replace any senior engineers or anyone soon. But
do you think? Because I always think about like the nitty gritty stuff, right? Like review and pull requests, for example, right? Obviously, it's great if you don't have to do that. But do you feel like there is actually a real value in doing the really boring nitty gritty stuff?
Yeah. Well, I suppose it depends whether you think it's really boring, because
True, yeah.
Someone should always be learning from that. So if there's a pull request with feedback, then hopefully the developer's learning from that, right? So you can't, I think you still need a human in the loop, basically. So even if an AI generates a bunch of feedback, it might not all be right. You need someone to be saying, actually, this is all correct, or no, that bit's irrelevant. I still think there is value in that. Until it gets indistinguishable from a human, which it isn't right now.
Sure.
You have to have a human in the loop. Yeah.
You sound like you like reading.
I do.
You mentioned a few books. Sorry to put you on the spot, because I didn't actually prepare any recommendations. But if you had to recommend, I don't know, three to 5 books, what would you say are your favorites?
So there's, from the tech side, I think it's domain-driven design in .NET, or in C#. So that's a good exploration of how to do DDD. That's off the back of Eric Evans' blue book around domain-driven design. So it's all just about tackling complexity, solving problems, really foundational stuff. Then you've got your clean code and clean architecture, standard stuff again. So that's all on the tech side. I think, we've mentioned Radical Candor. I think it's worth reading softer stuff like that. I'm reading a book at the minute, 6 Principles of Self-Esteem, actually.
Oh.
So just digging into the softer sides, and a lot of it's work-focused as well, or difference between work life and personal life, and how self-esteem affects those, and just thinking, well, how does it affect me? How does it affect the people I'm working with? And, basically trying to be more empathetic and understanding of different viewpoints from people. So yeah, those are some recommendations.
I love that. I never even thought, I've never even heard that one. I feel like I hear about most books, because I'm just, because I'm always bloody TikTok pages and
Right.
they always come up, who's that written by?
Couldn't tell you.
I
I just know the title, 6 Principles of Self-Esteem.
It sounds great. And again, it comes back to that whole, working on yourself so that you can work on other people. That's great. Last question.
Yeah.
And I promise to let you go. If you could give anyone one piece of advice who perhaps is going through, actually, you know what, I'm going to rephrase that videographer. Please cut that bit out. If you were going to give Ross Tyler advice, a younger Ross Tyler advice,
Yeah.
what would you say to him?
Good. That's a really good question. I'd say it's going to be harder than you imagine, right? Yeah. So buckle up.
So young Ross Tyler shaking in his boots, thinking, God, no.
God. Yeah, but I'd say make sure you've found the right people, and I think that's something I'm grateful for. Like basically, I would say trust the people you're with. They're looking out for you, and just do what feels right. Like I think it's really tempting to rationalize or try to rationalize so much, but there's no sort of objective truth about your career or where you're going, as long as you're enjoying it, and you're not just passing the time, like you're actually getting value out of what you do, then you're doing the right thing. So That's all I'd say.
Great advice. Love it. Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink
it. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And great to finally meet you, and loads of nuggets of information with people there who are starting the leadership journey. So
Great.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And that's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Anything we talked about will be linked in the show notes. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll catch you on the next one.